And it is August 22nd, 2015. As I look on the calendar, it's the new quarter for August. So we have only one more week left of August. Imagine that. Well, I feel so marvelous right now. It's amazing when you go through all these changes with life and changes and more changes. And it's like the way how it's shown to me, it's like steps going up a ladder. Even when you are evolved and ascending and awakening and rising, we're still going through stages and stages and stages and steps. Some are taking giant leaps and some small leaps, but there's still steps. What it is like to really overcome fear. What it is like to live in freedom and to feel so free within yourself. It's like it's something that it can't even, it's not even a matter of what's being said. It's how it feels. It's how it feels inside. How you feel good inside. When you know that you have taken back your power and you really have that power within you, no one can take that away from you. No one, unless you allow it, of course. It is such a huge difference when you're really in the light of things and you step outside of the paradigm, and when you have that total freedom, total autonomy, and you have that energy come forth, that it shifts things away. Shifts it away. All based on your energy and your thoughts. Absolutely. That is how powerful you are. That is how powerful you can be. Yes. Well, I am going to read from the Daily Word for today, August 22nd. Title is Explore. I revel in our oneness as I explore the world around me. Children who feel safe confidently explore new surroundings. I tap into this childlike trust as I embark on new adventures. I affirm I am safe and secure, loved and protected by God. Curious about different ways of living and being, I make a point to try something new today. Perhaps I sample a new cuisine. Maybe I attend a service of a different faith or listen to music from another culture. I may plan a trip abroad or just consider a new idea. Whatever I choose, I explore with an open heart, like a child who feels safe. I do not need to defend my positions or impose my beliefs on anyone. I celebrate diversity. My faith is strong and I have a deep love for all of God's children. I revel in our oneness as I explore the world around me. And the scripture is from Galatians 3 verse 28. All of you are one in Christ Jesus. Well, I'm going to have a diary/revelation moment and also talk about what has transpired within the past, I would say, 6 to 8 hours. My dear friend Stacy found out that there was a little thing around the corner where we could take the kids and get burgers and like a little barbecue band type of thing. I told her that my mom and her mom really played a hand in this for her to open up the paper and find it, even though it was just right around the block from me, because I usually take the children somewhere for the summer, even if it's not on a trip, usually Six Flags Great Adventure or somewhere, and I just was not in a position to do that in any way or capacity. And so I know my mom, I was talking to her last night. Telling her how much I miss her and what she means to me and everything. And my mom, she was the type of person that she always orchestrated family picnics, family functions, everything. That's who she is. And I take on that same aspect of who she is the same way, coming together as a family. That is what she represents. And so she orchestrated for Stacy to open up that newspaper to find a thing. And so we were together there with the children, and we had such a good time just for those 3 hours. And I felt like as if something just peeled off of me, because I was still feeling so much stress for the people at the car. And of course, those people trying to hound me for those crooks or whatever they want to call their name, and it's made such a difference. Now that I think about it, I remember they're the ones that I was feeling so free when my son asked me how I was doing. And I was like, oh, I'm at that place where I just don't give a fuck. And that's how I felt. And it was like a part of freedom within me, so it's like as I go through the separate stages, the different stages of freedom, it's not even just saying it and feeling it, but it's also a different type of understanding here for myself right now as I'm talking. Because when you're at that place where you're paranoid and you're constantly thinking about all the problems and the issues, but the more you focus on joy, and the more you focus on change, and the more you move with the rhythm of life, and even if something comes up impromptu and it brings you into a space of joy, it really pushes away the energy of stress and whatever it is that is bothering you. It's like as if they go away. Even if it's a physical person who is doing something towards you, or you say that they're stressing on you or hounding you, the more you allow yourself to stay in that element, to stay in that high frequency of joy, whatever it takes, it really does fall off. I mean, you'll find yourself that even if someone had any intention to want to do something towards you, okay, physically, spiritually, whatever it may be, I'm telling you, if you keep a thought and that you're protected, and that you stay in the element of joy, an element of oneness, an element of freedom, an element of completion within yourself with so many things. I mean, I can't begin to tell you what this feels like. It's like there's no words to describe this, because I have never experienced this before. This is a different type of freedom element for me. So I posted my video. I actually had sent the video to Ivan first. It's so interesting how I know that even the things that represent to do with him, or whatever I may put towards him, it still ends up being shared. It still ends up being shared because I ended up sharing it, on Facebook. I ended up sharing it on Facebook, and it's a video that I made. It's a Calypso video, and it talks about freedom. So it's called "Come Out and Play," and it's the same video that you've heard me play quite often. And it talks about freedom, and it's in Calypso. And so I did a Calypso, the dance to it in my living room, and that was that evening. Actually, what got me into that element is that I was thinking about how good I was feeling, and at the same time, this is when I went by the water with the children to the barbecue. And like I said, because I was at that function, I wasn't thinking about my problems or issues. I was just thinking about how great it felt at the moment. When you stay in the present moment, when you stay in your now, you stay in your lane, your now, your presence, your energy, you. Even if someone else is doing things or whatever else is happening around you, you have the authority. You have the power to feel how you feel. No one can take that away from you. I don't business what anybody else is doing. When you focus on within you, with what's happening with you, that's what matters. That's what shifts and changes things, because it's like the energy just goes away from you, just falls right off. That's what I said. Imagine if the whole world was in a state of joy and creating love and making love. All of that negative stuff would fall away. It would disappear. Poof. Just like that. Just like that. And it's really true. How many times can you think in your mind, your thoughts, where you be in such a really, really bad mood, and you go to either a party or a play, or you see a baby, and all of a sudden you don't feel bad anymore? Your whole energy just shift and change. Well, that's what I'm talking about. It's like a shift and a change, what it does for you. So even though when I put on the video, I had a different agenda. I had more than one agenda, because of course there's an element of how I'm feeling inside. Two, this is for people to see how I am in my true authentic self. This is me. This is me. Okay. Straight up. And, we all have a choice. It's either it's going to put you in a place of wanting to dance, or to put you in a place of really paying attention here to what I'm talking about when it comes to freedom. What does freedom mean to you? Because remember, everything is based on perspective here. Perspective. And so my hashtags I put here is freedom, hashtag Calypso style, hashtag Soca style, hashtag Benjay. This is the person who sings the song. Hashtag Soca Gold 2014. That's the album that it came from. Hashtag Playtime. Hashtag New Earth. Hashtag New Beginnings. Hashtag I Am Back. Hashtag I Have Returned. Hashtag The Return to Love. Hashtag The Return to Prosperity. Hashtag Oneness. Hashtag Fullness of Joy. Hashtag No Shackles on My Feet. Hashtag Authenticity. Hashtag Authentic Life. Hashtag No Fear. Hashtag I Am Blessed. Hashtag Nefertiti is back. At first I was a little teeny tiny hesitant, like, should I put that in there? I mean, I figured maybe I'd wait till when the book comes out, then maybe I'll announce, hey, I'm here. But, Spirit says no. Bring out yourself, because you see, this is how I'm giving rise to myself. And that part of me is still me, and it doesn't matter who believes me or who's paying attention. The fact is that it is stated to who I am. And so I feel so good as I kept doing that, because the more I kept thinking all the hashtags and how I'm feeling and all the description I'm giving of it, the more powerful I felt within myself. So it's not to say I didn't have any power within me before, but what it does for me is like it brings me up another level. I'm up another notch here today. So no matter what happened or transpired between yesterday and today, and who's trying to come after me, or the level that I was feeling with the ex-husband, the monies, the this, the that, getting paid, all these things, is that it doesn't have to change who you are. It doesn't have to change how you look. It doesn't have to change how you feel. The more you put yourself in a space of joy, the more you put yourself on, put your face on, put yourself on, allow the beauty to shine within you and outside of you, regardless of the outer circumstances. And the more you put yourself in that place, I know at times you say, but I can't do this. I can't, because of what I'm facing here. I understand. I'm telling you what works for me. And if it works for me, it can work for you. I know what it's like when you're going through things that seem really, really shitty, and you're thinking you're not in a frame of mind, But I tell you, sometimes we got to be where the cart is before the horse, to be or not to be. And when I say the cart before the horse, that sometimes people think, because, this is the thing, I'm being honest with you. I put the video first on Google, right? Because I'm on Google. I figured, not too much people are following me on Google anyway. And then I said, I'll put it on Facebook after I know that certain things I'm waiting on is completed. And when it's like I'm put in that mood. And then Spirit says, did you just pay attention to what you just thought here a while ago? I'm like, oh, right. I'm going to stay in the present moment of putting it out there now, as if it is happening already. And so that is what I did. I decided to place the video and put the video out there on Facebook, where I knew more people would see me, as if whatever it is that I'm in, because you see, everything's energy. Everything's energy. So whatever I'm anticipating or whatever I'm looking forward to, we don't have to wait until it actually physically happens in order to be in that state of mind or that frame of mind. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's not a trick. It's not like you're tricking, because you can't fool the universe. So, it's like I figured, let me wait until, and then I say, that's why I'm happy. But no, we can have that fullness of joy and all the element of love and freedom within ourselves, regardless of what we have. You know what I mean? No one can steal your joy away from you. The only one who can steal your joy away from you is you. Only you. And so I know that for some, when they look at it, they're like, wow, she's having so much fun. Oh, this is a lot of fun. But remember that my purpose is not just saying I'm having fun. When I come out and play, remember back in those times in Egypt, it was said that people were working not because they were making money. They were working for, as if they were planting things or whatever, bartering with each other. You know what I'm saying? There was no monetary value placed on anything whatsoever in order to have anything. That's the difference. And so there was more playtime than there was work time. Do you see what I'm saying? And still things were provided for. Everyone had a roof over their head. Everyone had food. Everyone had this. Everyone had that. So it's not like as if you had to go to work and, pay for this and pay for that, lose less time to spend with one another, with your family. And so I realized that the theme that's been going on for the past weeks since Venus had come into retrograde is that there's an emphasis and a focus on family. There is an emphasis and focus on family and the shifts and changes that are taking place with how we view ourselves as a family. What is it that we're changing from the family dynamics? How are fathers with their sons or daughters, mothers with their sons or daughters, and their spouses, their significant others? What is the dynamic relationship that you have when it comes to your thoughts and view about money? The value of money, the value of your family. Which comes first? Which comes second? Which comes last? Also our values as far as our careers. Are you so wound up in your career that that's all there is? Do you not see yourself as more than that? Like even I would say get a life, get a life, start living as a life, living with life, being the life that's with you, within you. You know what I mean? This is not where you're making a living because you gotta pay for something. No, this is where you're living your life to the fullest extent of life, not the law. Okay, because there's no laws here. This has to do with freedom now. No shackles on the feet. No shackles on the feet. So I just wanted to share that with you. And by the time you see the video, you will see the joy that's within me, what's happening. Because that was actually the evening that I came back from the barbecue. And I put up the picture of myself and the children, the one that I took by the water, and Ivan liked it off, and I was so shocked. I was like, whoa, wow, I was really, really, I floored, and I was ecstatic because I was like, oh, something going on here. Wow, this is wonderful. So, and I mean, I didn't have any expectations, but I was definitely, like, and plus it gave me confirmation as well. Confirmation knowing that, that he's really paying close attention to myself. And I realized that, that now there's an energy and an element of him thinking about family and what does family mean. And I tell you why. Yesterday on WhatsApp, he changed his profile picture. And so I opened it up. And when I looked at it, I was, I'm going to be honest with you, I was flabbergasted. And so when I looked at it, and I said, wow, it felt like disappointing, really. It felt disappointing. And I figured, and I realized, I said, well, if I'm disappointed, that means that I was having some type of expectation from him, especially because of what transpired last weekend or 2 weeks ago or whatever. And this is what it said. This is a This is a picture of Scarface from, what's his name? The starter Scarface with the money in his hand. And the title of it says, I focus more on money than people because I never met a dollar I didn't like. So in other words, it's like he's really putting it out there that he's still wound up in the work mode and making money. And saying that money likes him and he likes money. And so money means more to him than, an average person. That's where his focus lies. And so that's what thought that came through to me because, I usually think that anything that one posts or whatever you put out there, it represents you. It represents your thoughts. It represents your feelings. It represents something to you with whatever you put out there and focus on or place on. So I was told by God, straight from God, not to judge it, not to judge him, Sometimes you do things and you don't realize why you did it because spirit is always up to something. Because it was important that he did that because I had to discuss this because we're in that energy with all the things that are coming up to the surface. And what is it that we're changing here? What are we looking at here when it comes to relationships, the relationships that we have with ourselves, the relationships that we have with money, our views about money, our views about family life and what it truly is. And this is not about self-sacrificing and sacrificial and all these things. No, this has to do with what is your definition, your view, your values, the bloodline, the tribe. What are you still holding on to that comes from your family, what you've been taught, or if it's not what you're taught, then what you've seen, what you observed, and then you do the same thing, and then you pass it on to your children, and your children the same thing. And this is a cycle of what we are ending. There's a lot of things that are burning off here. There's a lot of things that are, and there's some who are still holding tight onto the physical things. And those who do that, they're going to feel like they're going out of their minds. You're going to feel like as if you're in a pressure cooker. That's what it's going to feel like, because Mother Earth is saying this is ending. This is a death. This is the death of the ego. This is the death of the old self, is what is transpiring here. And so I took some notes. I was doing some automatic writing, which I never did before in the past. So I've done it recently, not all the time. And this is what I'm channeling thoughts from, anyway. As a matter of fact, the most interesting thing yesterday now, I was telepathically communicating with my girlfriend Stacy. It's like as soon as she said something, I finished I finished, and then she said something, and then she finished it. It was amazing. It's like we were just so in tune to one another. So the more we allow ourselves to tune into one another, to communicate, to connect, the more we are able to know what the other one is thinking and saying, and at the same time. And it's very, very interesting. So we were just giving high fives with each other because we were so in sync with our thoughts and what we were saying. And it was so fluid and free and all that. That's what was so incredibly awesome about this. So anyway, I took some notes based on what I was sensing to do with Ivan and this picture that he put up. And then also to top it off, his status that he put says urgent calls only. So when I see that now, urgent calls only, that's telling me that don't bother me. Don't even bother to call me. And unless it's really important, then just don't bother to call me. And so that makes me feel that he is shutting out the outside world, and that he's going within himself with a lot of thinking, a lot of thoughts. So of course the pleasure was all mine to tune into him, to know what he is thinking, where his thoughts were. And I also was tuning into spirit as far as what we're looking at here, And so I wrote down no expectations, free. I said he's still focused on money, it's like an establishment of how he loves money. Money, the false god. What does this represent? What is there to get past this? That's the questions I was asking myself, because obviously, because he is still focusing on money, then what is it about myself that I'm focused on to do with money? And so there you go. What is it about me that is a focus to do with money, that he's just driven so much to do with money? And it's like I'm the opposite. Where I'm focused on family. And yes, the money is an issue, but I'm focused on family, and my family comes first. He's focused on money, and his family comes last. So now this is about us. Now this is the first I'm talking about this, because I didn't even automatically channel this now. So I'm getting this right now in spirit. And so being that it may be, is that whatever percentage of myself that is balancing out the dynamic of family is what is pulling in with him focusing on family, and then myself with the energy of what I'm releasing when it comes to my view of money, and where the things that I've attained, or majority of things that I've attained, was not because I work hard for it, is because I'm manifesting it in my reality based on my consciousness. Now with Ivan, I remember when I spoke to him, this is in 3D now, I mentioned something to him and he agreed with me, but I think he just didn't remember. And this was when he was talking about the physical things in Egypt, forgetting about the gold and blah, blah, blah. And I said to him, this is really about, I said, you don't have to work hard in order to achieve and have the things in life. I said, things that we have in life can also be based on consciousness. It's all about consciousness. That's what this is all about. Consciousness. I said, your consciousness is what brings things towards you. So, he has it like what we call ass backwards. And when I said that to him, he got quiet and he's like, yeah, you're right. So he didn't disagree with me. So, of course, that was the day when I was supposed to meet with him. That was on February 7th. And whatever conversation we had, because that time I told him, I said, boy, there's great things that are happening for the both of us. I told him that this is a really big thing here. I was feeling the energy and the vibration, because that time when I found out, that was when I just found out about myself more, about being as Nefertiti and being aliens and all these things, I believe. I'm not sure. Or I think the alien thing was more around March. So no, that was, so February time was when I was more diving into being Nefertiti and then him as Akana 10, and ascending and stuff like that, as far as I'm trying to remember. And so that is the significance of what is happening here. So I see how we're interchanging energies, myself and Ivan. So now I have an even clearer picture with all of this, with you see, that's why it's important not to judge, because he changed the photo to that. This is what allows me to know what is going on. This is what allows me to really look at what is it about myself that I'm to look at here. Not in a bad way, in a great way. Because I was still having, I'm being honest here, I was still having a little bit of that fear of these people trying to get me with my truck. And I was in so much angst in my chest and my stomach and nuts and all these things, and I was joking around, but I was really serious at the same time. And I got to be telling my kids how we're looking out, and I'm saying, Dad, I got to be teaching my kids how to help me to be on the lookout and stuff like that, in the dark. Thank God I'm in the country and stuff like that, but I mean, sometimes we have to do what we have to do, you know what I mean? And so I know when the time is right, because of timing of everything and everything that I've tried. When I've tried everything and there's no other options out there, this is the part where I've had to really truly let go, because if only I just can win some money, I'm thinking, if only I could get a case paid, if only, and then I can breathe easier and I can relax and I don't have to have these pangs in my head. Those are the thoughts that are coming on in my mind. And so I was at that place yesterday actually, where I was able to feel relaxed, really truly feel relaxed. And it started from yesterday evening when I was outside talking to my girlfriend, and the trees were just dancing outside with me in consciousness. I mean, they were excited around me, and I was like, oh my God, Stacey, you should see the trees. They're like, so, I mean, they were just, that's what it was like. And it was like as if they were telling me, it's okay, Sharon, it's okay, everything's working out, and that is what was coming forth from the energy of the trees. And I felt so peaceful. And the more I focus on feeling peaceful, is the more peacefulness I have what's happening within me, more than the anxiety. So you see, you can choose what you want to have more of within yourself and centering on it. But if we focus more on the stress and the anxiety or the depression or whatever it is that's the total opposite to what is probably not for your highest good, is the more that you're going to be experiencing it. So that's why it's extremely important to be conscious, to understand. Of course, I know there's moments when you're going to go through something and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God. You know what I mean? What am I going to do? And I'm telling you, just breathe and allow the spirit to flow through you and to guide you. You will not be steered wrong. And if you allow the spirit to guide you and move you along, there lies the solution. Sometimes the solution to things is just doing absolutely nothing. Sometimes it's just really surrendering to God, surrendering to the oneness, surrendering to truth, surrendering to life. Sometimes it ends up not necessarily where you get something in order for it to be resolved that way. Sometimes it's a matter of just praying, thanking God, meditate, and then you let go. Really, truly letting go and let God. Peace of mind does not necessarily come based on doing something. Peace of mind is not based on the physical things that you attain. Peace of mind is not necessarily because of what someone does for you. Peace of mind comes and starts from within you, not based on external circumstances. You have a choice. You have a choice at every given moment. You get to choose how you want to feel no matter what your outer circumstances are involved. It's a state of mind. It's a state of your consciousness. And so as I go further into what I wrote down here, I said the false God, what is left? What is it to get past this? And so I wrote down family unit versus money. That's what came through from my higher self. And so I said there's a cell memory within Ivan of losing his family to greed and power. It's in his cell memory. It's like being programmed. You're not even realizing how you're tied into something and you take it with you lifetime after lifetime. You remember when I was reading the history to Nefertiti and Akhenaten / Moses. And you see the reason why whatever I read last to do with it, because even though I had brought up the subject of Moses and Akhenaten months back, obviously the energy was for me to bring back that discussion, but I had to look at all also the aspect of the dark side, the shadow side of things, the things that were going on that were so out of hand back then, the chaos and the calamity, the incest, the lust, the greed, the power, physical things, people who were trying to stop us, and really, keyword is trying, of course, trying, because we still stood strong within ourselves. We were like a force within a force, and it was a lot of conflicts too as well. So as much as there was as much joy, there was also conflicts. And so I had to remember all of that. And I felt sad because, certain things that I know that I didn't want to look at again, and I had to end up looking at it. And so some of these things are within our cell memory, just like how I had to remember me feeling jealous, I had to remember all of that too as well. So there's a lot of things that we go through in life. There's a lot of things we go through in life that is for us to work through and to work on. And, it's necessary, as I said, remember there's these triggers with things. So you see with what Ivan put up there, it was a trigger for me. That was a trigger for me because there was something for me to look at and remember to do with family and money, because it's important for me to understand it fully so I can also talk about it, and we all work together with the changes and the dynamic of family and values. And so it's in his cell memory. He has lost his family several times. This has happened, lots of times. And so for him, he is really thinking about family. He may act like as if he's not, but he is. The mere fact, my hint, the mere fact that he liked off the picture, which is the first ever of myself and the children, there was something that seeped in through to him. There's something that came through to him from a past life. There's something that he's remembering growing up from childhood also. I know when he looks at the pictures, he sees something more to me as a mother. He sees something more to me as far as what my family means to me. And of course, not only based on a still picture, but also in the video. He sees how I'm interacting with the children. Even though the video is about 2 minutes long, you can get a lot from just looking at that video, how my children and how we interact with one another. And so he can see how authentic I am, how authentic my children are. They're naturally being who they are. So was Remy. Remy didn't have no script. I didn't tell Remy to do what he did with smiling. It was natural for him. I didn't tell Charlize to do what she did with her brother, and I didn't tell Damon to do what he did. We just naturally are funny together as one dynamic family. And so there's a difference to who we are. We are so rounded with each other, myself and my children. And we all just seem to blend together. We're blending together with all of our colors and all our personalities, everything to who we are. And we all accept ourselves who we are. As a matter of fact, even my friend Audrey, I was talking to her yesterday as well, and she said the same thing Stacy said. She said, my children, they do not have low self-esteem, because we call each other's names and stuff like that, but not where it's painful. because it doesn't happen that way. Because we come from a space of love, how we joke with each other and everything like that. And so we don't take it to heart. And you know why? Because we all have self-confidence. All of my children have self-confidence, including myself. And there's courageousness that comes with the self-confidence. So therefore, what's important once again is how you think of yourself is what's important, not what how someone else thinks of you. And so as you project yourself to the things that you choose to achieve and how you feel when it comes to yourself, your family, your children, that unit, the bond that you have, it cannot and shall not be broken. But now you have to ask yourself this question is, what is it like in your family? How are you with your family? And we're talking about immediate family first. Do you spend time together? Do you wait until you have money first before you do things together? Or do you do things together regardless of what money you have? What is your view on that? Because when it comes to my children, when something comes up, depending on my circumstances, we don't pitch a tent. We find a way and we make it happen. Because we rely on prime source. That's who. To make it happen. I remember when I took them to the movies to see Jurassic Park, I found a way. And so as I go back to what I was saying, says there's focus on family and money, and he is conflicted. There's restlessness with feeling confused, and I put that he changed his status to urgent calls only, shutting off the world. He's in survival mode here. We're talking about survival mode. Survival mode. That's what it seems like, as if he's operating from a survival mode here. You know, I was even telling my girlfriend how I remembered when I had my conversation with Ivan that same day again on February 7th, when he said to me, oh, does that mean we're going to get the gold back? And I was like, this is not about getting the physical things in gold. I said, you know, it's not to say that we won't be blessed with things in life, but this is about how we fill ourselves up, clear things out, fill ourselves up with love and light, and the wealth returns, you know, because wealth is like it's a combination of everything. That's what wealth is. That means you're prosperous, you're healthy, you're well. I mean, what is it if one is rich and you have all this money, but then you're not well? Then what are you going to do with it? Or what if you have all this money and you have, you know, that time when he was, you know, he told me he was buying a house, and I said, well, don't you want to live to enjoy the house if you're working 7 days a week? I mean, I'm not judging the man for what he's doing, but the point what I'm trying to make is, don't, you know, you think about it. People knock themselves out, you know, trying to attain the physical things of the world to the point where they're so exhausted that they forgot to stop and smell the roses. Imagine that. You know, so you ask yourself this question, you know, what value do you place on your family? What value do you place on your children? What value do you place on your career versus your family? I mean, there's some people who work so much, they totally neglect their family, and then the family start to drift away and fall apart. You know, I remember when I was married, and I've mentioned this before, and I told my ex-husband that time when we just got married, I said, look, I'm not a picky person. I said, you know, in life, we balance things out. So, you know, you spend time with yourself, you spend time with your friends, and you spend time with your children, and then you spend time with your wife, and then you spend time, you know, we all spend time together. We spend time together as a family. You know, it's, you know, when you have that kind of balance and everything, it's a win-win situation here. Win-win. But when there's too much of one thing, in anything in life, whenever it's too much of one thing, what usually happens? You start to become off balance. Something's always missing. You see? So you can have all the riches in the world, but what does it say? It's easier for a camel to enter into a needle's eye than a rich man to enter into heaven, into the kingdom of heaven. Isn't that what Jesus said? What do you think that means? What do you think it meant? Jesus spoke a lot of parables, and it's not like as if I grew up studying the Bible, but I sure do remember a lot of scriptures. I sure do. Because I know I'm here for the masses now, for those who are religionistic and religious, because, everything is perspective here, because in some aspect, there's some who look at it as religious and some who look at it as spiritually religious or religiously spiritual. It doesn't matter. It's okay. No need for labels here. What's important is the message. That's what's important. The message. What is the message? What are you hearing here? This is not about being tied down and locked down to a name. What are you getting at here with yourself when it comes to your values, your family values? What are your values here? What is it like growing up with your family? What was it like? Are you the type of person that you feel that it is survival of the fittest? Or do you go with the flow knowing that everything works out for the best? What are your values? What statement are you making subconsciously? So I wrote here too, in his thoughts, family matters and stays, making a statement subconsciously, losing his grip on what's real. What's really important, money or family? Because there's some people who work for years and they have no children, no family. They come home and it's like to an empty house, as one would say. And then you could even have a house, but a house is a house, but a house is just a house. But then do you want to make it a house or do you want to make it a home? Because there's something that comprises or makes up the home. There's laughter, there's love, there's joy, there's children, there's the dynamic of, every little thing that you can think of that makes up a home. And with Ivan, with him, when I tune into him, he's a very particular person, very, very particular. The mere fact that I ended up in his apartment, that was like a privilege. He does not just allow anyone to just come into his home. I know that without him telling me that. I could feel it. I can sense it. Especially because I'm the same way too. But then he takes it to a higher level. He goes deep with it. And he's not the type of person, as handsome as he looks, he does not feel like, nor can I sense ever, that he goes into all these multiple relationships or that he sleeps around and all that. I just don't get that at all. I really don't. I mean, I remember I did put it out there where I told God, I said, I'm not interested in any man who's going to be cheating and all these things. It's like I had enough of it. It doesn't matter what you do or what you attain or whatever. Sometimes these things do happen. But you see, remember, in all things is what you put out there in consciousness. As you put things out there in consciousness, so you receive. So it's not about, whether it's pick, choose, and refuse, or God is having a good day or a bad day, or maybe next time. No, it's not like that. Everything happens according to your beliefs and your consciousness. Please understand that. And so he's losing his grip as I can put it, on what's missing here. Because you can have all the physical things of the world, but then, in the end, the bottom line is that there's something that's missing because what you're connected with your heart. They said the heart is the home. Home is where the heart is. Home is where the heart is. And it's on all levels. Dorothy didn't remember to click her heels and she'd be home. So this is everything about what's clicking with you. And you know that you're home. And it's so quick. It's so instantaneous when you realize it. Because you have to realize it. This is not about someone telling you, hey, guess what? I love you. You tell someone that, but then it's a matter of them accepting it and knowing it and feeling it, resonating with it. You know what I mean? Going with that even flow. It's not supposed to be where you work hard for the money. You make money work for you. But then it's not about making money work for you. It just, or when you get to a place where it's in abundance. It's in abundance. Money flows through you, not to you, through you. It's through you. It's through your consciousness, your mindset, your beliefs is how you attain money. So not only do you have your own integrity in line where there's no greed and power, you're also free-spirited, free. You're not locked down and bounded just because of the physical money. In almost every aspect in society, people rely so much on money for everything. It's attainable for status quo, the things you want to achieve, what you want to buy, how you want to look, and the power, how much you have, and you count it, and and how much more, and I got more than you, and nah. And no wonder they named the game Monopoly. What does Monopoly mean? I'm not even going to look it up. You look it up. To me, when I think of Monopoly, the game in and of itself, and the word of itself, monopoly, that means something's monopolized. It's a matter of fact, to me, it's even along the lines of manipulation. So monopoly is where it's just like one thing that has ownership over everything, control, power. So isn't that what monopoly is? Is that the end result of the game, the object of the game is how much assets you can attain, and that gives you more power. And the more buying power you have, the more assets you have, even if it's not the physical money, the more powerful you become. And that's what makes you win the game. So isn't that with how society depicts it? Is that the more you can attain in life and achieve, and it's such a false concept because, on the one hand, go to school, get your education, you get a good job and everything. And by the time you do all of that, you're paying back student loans. Then you're in debt. Then after you're in debt with that and you try and, work your way up to getting a home, then you're in more debt with mortgages. Then you have children, right? And then there's more debt again. I'm not saying children are debts, but I'm just telling you that it's an expense, right? And everything you charge for with every single thing. They even want to, I remember when my mom, when she was physically here, she used to say that, what else are they going to charge us for? The air? So it's almost everything that you're charged for. You see? And it's like a ripoff. And so you ask yourself this question, and once again, I'm going to say this. A house can be a house, but then a house is absolutely nothing if it's not made as a home. If it doesn't exist as a home. And when you're connected, one way or the other, when you are connected, and you know the truth in and of itself, knowing that your heart is what really counts and what matters, not the physical things. I'm not saying physical things don't matter. What I'm saying is when you have love in your heart, when you're connected within your family, remember your family starts within you first. As you work on the family within you, the family that is the physical extension of you starts to reflect. So we're all going to be constantly reflecting off of one another. And this is about what's real, what feels good, what's warm, not cold and distant. One family member is in the room eating dinner and the other one is someplace else downstairs in the basement eating and the other one is around the table on the cell phone typing while they're eating. There's no family prayers or coming together or holding hands in communion. All these things. It's just constant, continuous, more disconnection here. Like robots. Cold-hearted. No feelings. No type of concern about what's going on for the day anymore. This is what I'm talking about here. What are your family values? Who do you include in your family? Do you think your family is just those that you're blood related to? What is your concept of that? Do you consider your family to be your neighbors? Do you consider your family to be your pets? Do you feel you don't like pets? You don't like animals? Well, guess what? They're a part of you. They're God. That's right. Everything and all living things is God. Even the stuff that don't move is God. Every single thing is God. God is everywhere and nowhere. Anywhere and nowhere. In all places and no places. Upside and downside. To the left side and to the right side. beginning and the end, the null and the void, the here and the now, the light and the dark. Is all God. Until you get to that place of truly understanding who you are, then you'll know who God is. Until you get to that place where you know who God is, then you'll know who you are. Fully. Not half-heartedly. If you knew that you were a walking diamond right now, you wouldn't be knocking yourself out. Killing yourself and knocking yourself out. I'm putting it in the right way. You got to meet your goals. You got to meet your standards, this and that. And then everybody's just looking around in status quo and who's the overachiever and the underachiever and the go-getter here. And I tell you this, you can keep go-getting and achieving and all these things. And most of the time, people who are like that, they end up just chasing their tails. They have all these awards and all these degrees and all these things, and then what? And then the soul is just empty, and the heart becomes bitter, because then they're ready to look for love, and they wonder why it's not in their space, because they're so focused on their career, focused on their job, focused on the money and who has it, focused on stealing from their siblings or their parents or something, focused on if a relative is going to die so they can get the inheritance. Who does that? Where does it get you? What is it worth, a life filled with nothing inside of you, nothing but a false reality, and have all the physical gold? What say you? What becomes of you with that? What becomes of you? Is that what you identify with? Is that what you relate to? In the end, you are the one that's going to look at yourself and truly see yourself for who you are and what your values have become and continue to be. Because at some point, and I say it again and again, because even as we speak, as I am speaking, because you're not speaking to me, you're listening to me thus so far, is that money, the physical paper, is not going to have any value any longer. And then you're so busy chasing after the almighty dollar, and then you've already lost your friends. You have no family, immediate family established as yet, because maybe the love of your life has already moved on to someone else who's interested in having a true, authentic love life. Do you see? Because you've missed your opportunity. You've missed your chance. You've pushed love away, all for the sake of money and prestige and power and title. I mean, really now? Do you take the title with you if you die? No. I mean, you might get some names on your tombstone, but then all of this is really for those who are left here that it really matters, because those on the other side, it really doesn't matter. They're not concerned whether you go to the graveside to leave flowers for them. Of course, it's a nice gesture. Of course, they appreciate it, but you don't have to go there. You can enjoy what you have for them right where you are. They're right there beside you. They're a thought away. But we seem to feel like as if the only way we can connect to anything or to understanding is what we're seeing with the eyes and not coming from within the heart. And so we have a need to want to hold on to something, so it makes us feel secure, like a blanket. And then what happens when the blanket is taken away? What are you going to do? You're going to go crazy? Some people do. So it's like you're a baby with a blanket, and you got to hold on to that blanket so you can feel secure. And what happens is that we're all getting to a place where most people are already, where you're going to be open and vulnerable. And then what? Where's your blanket? You know, when people say, oh, you got to save up now, your security blanket. And even today I was reading that Social Security, by the time I would reach the Social Security age, but I'm not going to look it, of course, there's no money left. That's what they said. There will be no money left by the time I'm at the retirement age, the full retirement age of 75, I believe, or 72, whatever. I mean, it's just like someone says, the whole world is supposed to be wealthy. The entire world is supposed to be wealthy. You are supposed to be wealthy. Every single soul is born. You were created as wealthy. You were created as whole and complete. You're created in God's eyes as perfect. In every way possible, even with your flaws. Is God in perfection? Even with your flaws and your mistakes and your errors, everything. Everything. So don't judge yourself. Take a real good look at yourself. Take a really good look at yourself. And so as I go further into the notes, I'm moving along here. And, making a statement here, subconsciously losing his grip on what's real and what's really important, money or family. And then I wrote about my ex-husband. I said, is he feeling guilty about money, bringing it to me earlier? I said, wow, the truth really sets us free. It's based on my observation here. So I said I was planning to call Ivan with the baby. My grandson is coming tomorrow. And I said, I'll see if he'll answer the phone with Tango. It's been on my thoughts all day, yesterday and today. And I said, well, if he doesn't answer the Tango, then I'll just send him a video like I always do. And you'll see the baby, live and direct. No expectations. No expectations. This is where communication is coming, not based on what I say, but just based on what he sees. The connection. Babies and children. It changes our view on life. I was automatically writing all of this. So now that I tune into it, I was like, wow. When he sees Remy, something's going to come through to him. That when you see a baby, it really, really allows you to look prospectively on things differently when it comes to life. What's important. I remember when I was going through and I had all that stress and any opportunity that I had to be with Remy, I said, I put it in my post. I said, oh my God, he's my medicine. He's my medicine. Brings me such joy. Babies and children changes our view on life. The innocence of life. When I was in that dark place, when I was going through my dark night of the soul last year, and my children came around me and they were taking me to the movies and everything. And also my son's brother, Tremaine, who's my son as well. Tremaine and Nicholas was there also. Nicholas is my friend Marcia's grandson. Nicholas was the smallest one. He was about, don't get me wrong if I don't have the exact number, because there's so many children. Like I feel like the little lady, the lady in the shoe, or whatever you call it, she has so many children, she didn't know what to do. And so Nicholas, I think he was maybe about 6 or 7. I think he was 6 or 7. And all he was innocently talking about is that he was playing with his toys. And I said, Nicholas, can I get a hug? And he said, yes, Auntie Sharon. He came and he gave me a hug. There was no question. He didn't negate it. He didn't doubt it. He didn't think anything of, if there was an agenda here or why or what, where's this coming from? None of that. He came from a space of innocence. He came from a space of unconditional love. He came from a space of not questioning it. He just did it naturally. Naturally. And so I said, Nicholas saved me too. He saved me from myself. He made me think a lot about life too. How precious life is. The little things mean a lot to me. And just him saying, I want to play with my toys. Can I play with the toys? I had a lot of toys in the great room. And that's the playroom for the kids. And so, when I remembered him, it's like, he's just living within his freedom. He's living within his freedom as a child. Free-spirited. Even if he was hungry, in pain, or whatever. The one thing that stays in children's minds constantly, all the time, is play. They always want to play. Even children on the other side, what do you think they're doing right now? They're playing. They're not sitting around twiddling their thumbs, wondering when the next bill is going to come in or the next meal. Who's going to, hurt them or try to do harm to them. No. Free. Freedom. Innocence. Childlike. not childish. So the inner child sets us free. Sets us free. And it frees the shackles off of your feet. So the next thing I did is I did a column type thing. Life values versus money values. No measurement. There is no measurement with this at all. So on the left side is life values. On the right side is money values. So I'm going to go from left to right, going down the list of how what Spirit was leading me to write down from the automatic writing. Strength, weakness, courage, poor, wealth, slavery, prosperous, bound, freedom, tied up, loosened, stressed out, opened up, expanded, hide, hoarding, fullness of joy, closed down, limited, connection, disconnected, confidence, destruction and sorrow, powerful, controlling, free, discord and fighting, togetherness, family, sickly, healthier, authenticity, fake, truth, lies, deception, fulfillment, greed, spiritual, physical. Why not? Why? Light, revelations, dark, shadow, union, separateness. So that's what I had, from one side to the other. Money values, what does it bring? Weakness, poor, slavery, bound, tied up, stressed out, hide, hoarding. You're closed down, you're limited. You can lead to destruction and sorrow, disconnection, controlling, discord, fighting. Sick. Some people get sick over money. Fake. People are so desperate, they make fake money, and there's people who are so fake within themselves when it comes to money, and they're just fake in general. Lies and deceit. That's a common, typical thing when it comes to money. What money drives people to do? What it drives them to do things like that. To be deceptive and to lie and to hide and to hoard. They even forge wills and change of wills, all these things. You see? That's what it does. It has been said before that money is the root of all evil. But I tell you, that's not true. It's the love of money that's the root of all evil. You can't say money's evil because God created it. And people say, how can you say God created money? God didn't create money. Well, hello. God is the creator of all things. Knowledge, wisdom, technology. It's all put together and orchestrated by God. You are the movers and the doers of bringing and culminating with all things. Design, formulas, theories, tablets, writings, skills, education. Construction, technical writing, speaking. Everything put together is God. You and I are all the co-creators. Do you see that? We know what we know, and we are the experiencing side to what we know. And so I say again that it's all God. It's all God. So that is my stance on what occurred yesterday, just from what I saw, all of this information. So it was meant to be for me to talk about it. And therefore, God told me not to judge what he did with changing the thing. Because you see, right away, I was getting into a stance like, oh my God, is he going backwards again? Is he, just focusing on the money? But like I said, this was a reflection on myself too, more so with what I've been experiencing. And my value or the values that I was brought up with, taught, seen, experienced, and what I am letting go of and shattering these illusions. Shattering these illusions, because a lot of things that I've attained was not based on having money. Some of it has been based on total faith, or if it's been given to me, or gifts. What else? That's where we're heading back to, where we're bartering with one another, exchanging things and considering that to be how we pay for things, not because of a paper money. So we don't feel trapped anymore. Because you see, once that money has no value, then who's going to have power over anybody over how much money they have? Because we're all equals. We're all equals here. It doesn't matter the color of the skin, the culture, the race, the creed, the religion, how much you have or don't have. That's not going to count anymore. That would be a laughing stock. Did you hear that the stock market is falling apart all over the world? Well, it is. I did tell you that. I did predict. It's going to continue. The mortgage companies are going to collapse, just as well as the banking industry. It's all going to collapse, if it hasn't already. Everything is free. Everything's free. On the other side, you can create a home for yourself, and you don't pay no money for it. You don't. You can attain anything because everyone on the other side knows that it's all based on consciousness. You think the thought and bam, there it is. Well, it's the same thing you're doing it while you're in the body. That's the difference. I remember when I was getting my home and I said I was not getting my home unless I had this and this and that. And I had the dream about it. And I knew once I had the dream, I knew it was going to happen. And it did. The house I was in before, the same thing. I remember when I had a dream, what I was looking for, bam, there you go. It happened. Bottom line. I was very clear. Same thing with my vehicle. I was very clear what I was looking for, what I wanted to achieve. I didn't want any secondhand vehicle. Yes, so my chest is high, and guess what? I made it happen. And I've always, many times, had the cart before the horse. Definitely. That's how much car. I remember when I even got that vehicle, and the lady who I purchased the car from, she said, you're such an example, Sharon. She said, there's so much people that come here, she talk about me. And she would tell them how much faith I have, and how much, even though I was turned down for 2 loans, and I had the dream where I knew I was going to get a loan, and it happened. Because why? Because my consciousness created that. Even when I get the phone calls, oh, this didn't go through, or this fell through, even with the house I have now. I remember when that fell through too. And I still didn't go by appearances. Even my ex-husband at the time did not believe I was going to get this house. He doubted it so much, he didn't believe it at all. And when it happened, he was shocked. And I told him, I said, you depend on what you see. Because some people, they feel that the only way they can attain things, you got to work hard for it. You got to go to work now. Got to go your 9 to 5 and your 8 to 4, whatever you want to call it, or 4 to 12. You got to see it first and believe it. And there you go. It's happening. You see? And then me now, I come along with my bright self now. Say, me I get my house and my things them. And then you want the haters. Haters going to want to hate and say, yeah, yes, she have money. No, dummy, me have no money. I not get the house because I have money. Me get the house because it's the grace of God. God stuff me up to. God stuff. God demonstration. And even if you say, well, you're in a situation, it's a situation. That's all it is. It's an experience. It's not making me and it's not breaking me. You see what I'm saying? This is not about us doing things ordinary or normally. It's what comes naturally. The gifts that we receive from Spirit, it's not in an ordinary way. It's in an extraordinary way. How else can we demonstrate who we are if we don't have the things and the tools in place to show it? To know thyself is to be yourself. To be yourself is to know yourself. As you know yourself and your beingness is what is creating all of this, and you're working within your creativity to make it happen. Yes, so there's some doing that's involved now and then. And that's when you're, every time I think of that idea, I think of Lassie, go this way and that way. Have you ever seen it? And it's that carefree, spirited type of energy. That's what it feels like. That's what life is. Free spirited. Free spirited. That's what life is. So I am going to go into my topic that I never got to start, that I've been trying to start for so long, moving along here. And this is coming back to the mystery of the white lions, the children of the sun god. And this book, the author is Linda Tucker. And a review says, a fascinating and important piece of work, best-selling author. If you recall yesterday, I told you about the dreams that I had to do with the lions and what it represents. As in the month of August, the Lion's Gate, plus I'm in the Leo's energy is what has completed so far. The Leo. And now we're in Virgo as of today. So I must continue and finish off with my Leo lion, you know. The lion. Heart of a lion. Heart of a lion. Still gentle as a dove. And so this book here, as I said, the author is Linda Tucker. And actually the publisher is Hay House. Yay. Beautiful. And so I'm going to read the back of the book that describes Linda and what this is all about. Another reviewer says, this is a uniquely beautiful, powerful, and important book. One that restores the deepest mysteries of ancient African wisdom at a time when we need them most. Linda Tucker is one of the world's greatest sacred activists, and the white lions she honors and gives her life to protect are messengers of a divine love and truth that can transform humanity's relationship with creation and inspire us to save our world. And that was by Andrew Harvey, author of The Direct Path and The Hope. This is Linda Tucker's first-hand account of her journey into the mysteries of the most sacred animal on the African continent, the legendary white lion. This book reveals the knowledge and ceremonies of old Africa and the overwhelming love that has driven her every action to save these magnificent beasts against formidable odds. After being rescued from a life-threatening encounter with lions in the Timbabadi game region by a medicine woman known as the Lion Queen, Linda delved into the knowledge and ceremonies of old Africa, in which humans and lions are able to cross the species barrier in accordance with the most guarded secrets of ancient Egypt and humankind's greatest riddle, the Sphinx. Scientists in our day have established that humankind's most significant evolutionary leap occurred as a result of our ancestors' interaction with great cats. The white lion is a genetic rarity within the pantheon too, and occurred in just one region on Earth, Timbavati. Today, white lions form the center of the notorious can trophy hunting industry. Hand-reared captive lions shot in enclosures for gross sums of money. By contrast, shamans believe that killing a lion sun god is the ultimate sacrilege. How the human species treats such precious symbols of God in nature may determine how nature treats the human species. Whether we view them as prophetic lions of God or simply as rare genetic mutations, the story of the white lions is a true legend unfolding in our own extraordinary times. Linda Tucker, who resides in South Africa, lived a glamorous lifestyle as a model and then had a career in marketing until a near-death experience changed the direction of her life. After studying lions with African elders for more than 10 years, she had gone on to found the Global White Lion Protection Trust and works to save these sacred creatures. And the website is www.whitelions.org. So I picked particular sections and chapters of the book that I've been led to speak about. Very significant to do with the lions and the sun god. After all, Spirit did lead me to this book. I've never heard of it before. No one has told me about it. This came straight from divine source. And so, of course, naturally, I'm reading chapter 3, page 19. I'm reading only bits and pieces of parts of the book. And this says, Lions of God, people of lion identity. The lion is the sacred totem of my family. Lions being my family, gods on my grandfather's side, I must protect them. Credo Mutua. Shamanism, associated with the healer or medicine man-woman, represents a long tradition of primitive instinctual magic found on all 5 continents. It is a worldwide phenomenon which stretches back into humanity's distant past, along with the rulers in traditional communities. Shamans are the most powerful figures. They are viewed by their communities as intermediaries between this world and the spirit world, and their power lies in the connection between the two. They are also viewed in terms of animal incarnations as a direct result of the shaman's respect and affinity with wildlife. Their close communication with species other than their own leads to apparently superhuman powers of the kind I had witnessed in Maria. Their ability to conjure up animal spirits or to pacify real-life ferocious predators such as lions appears to represent in a true and positive sense the first lion taming. While others believe that shamans have the wild beasts as their service or their command, I was beginning to understand from Maria that the true power of the shaman lay not in dominance but in the ability to work in harmony with nature's own laws. It is now also generally understood that Stone Age cave art was executed by shamans after receiving wisdom in a state of self-induced trance. Many paintings relate to a process that anthropologists call hunting magic, symbolic representations of the hunt painted in a bid to create magical success in the actual hunt. Certain shaman hunters are also believed capable of magically entering the minds of dangerous predators or bringing down their prey through concentrated will alone, while those unusual beliefs may seem simple-minded. In time, I would come to see that they represent an infinitely more sophisticated process. In describing Paleolithic cave paintings, scholars generally use the term therianthropic to describe part human, part animal forms. But this term can also be used to describe the part human, part animal consciousness that characterizes shamanism today. Gradually, I became aware that according to Maria's mode of consciousness, my question as to whether it was her ancestors or the lions themselves who assisted her actions were simply nonsensical. In the therianthropic view, lion and human cannot be separated in terms of our regular understanding of things. Maria acted with the consciousness of a lion-hearted woman. I had come to this lion priestess hoping for clear answers to what had inspired her to act of selfless courage, but gradually it dawned on me that Maria had no objectivity with respect to herself. She did not stop to question or analyze her actions. That is why she had behaved as she had that night. Only once I understood this did I come to see what motivated her. Her bravery was an act of pure, unquestioning spiritual attunement to her natural environment in this fine-tuned action by her remarkable power. Through my research, this is page 21, I now knew that Maria fit into a long, majestic tradition. From all over Africa, there are fairly well-documented reports of a reciprocal arrangement, an honored contract that once existed between humans and lions. Eyewitness accounts detail how lions were included in the harvest rituals and were directly associated with the earth from which humans drew their subsistence. These stories grounded Maria's allusion to the lion as guardian of the earth. Page 23. Eventually, I gave up trying to extract snippets of translation while Maria's version of the story was in progress. Since Axon himself was so engrossed that I dared not interrupt, instead, I observed Maria's cool yet animated gestures, her occasional uproarious laughter, and the scintillate responses of her audience. Watching the admiration in the eyes of her listeners, I thought about the majestic lion heroines from world mythology who kept declaring themselves in my research. Rather than depicted in arm-to-arm combat with lions in the male heroic tradition, female deities such as Tamgaritis and Cybele from classical mythology are shown astride lions, while the great mother of Asia Minor, Rhea, goddess of the earth and wild beasts, is inevitably represented with lions. Lion priests and lion heroes. This is on page 25 and 26. Although now virtually an extinct phenomena, feline-human interaction of the kind I had witnessed in Maria not only survives in Africa, but has been documented on all continents. A magnificent recent example of tiger shamanism in action in Asia is described by the South African writer Lawrence van der Post. In a lecture delivered in South Africa many years after the event, van der Post recalled his own close encounter with a predatory feline. It occurred during World War II, when van der Post had the good fortune to meet some of the indigenous inhabitants of Java, the Badakus. He was on a military patrol one morning With only a Bedouin's guide, he was walking through a narrow track in the jungle, a tall bamboo on either side obstructing any means of escape, when he came to face with a tiger. Vanderpoel described how the tiger walked slowly toward them down this path, stopped, glared, and then snarled angrily. He thought, well, we've had it. Then amazingly, the Bedouin who was in front of him went down on his knees in an attitude of grateful prayer and began praying rhythmically to the tiger. Vanderpoel could not understand the language apart from the repeated phrase, Tuan Tiger, Lord Tiger. He watched, memorized, as the tiger gradually grew quiet and his tail stopped thrashing. First a snarl and then the look of aggression left the tiger's face, which became filled with light. Vanderpoel went so far as to recount a moment when the ghost of what I can only describe as a smile flickered over the tiger's face, and the great cat turned tail and padded back along the route from which he had come. Vanderpoel was led to conclude, after surviving his revelatory, death-defying experience, that this encounter was an illustration of how it is possible, out of a true wilderness awareness, to communicate with animals and get a mutual recognition of kinship. He concluded that he would never forget the first great lesson from the Bedouin, an awareness that encloses and protects people as helpless as the two of us were that morning in the face of the tiger, more effectively than any conceived armor can. This communication that saved Vanderpoel's life approximates a telepathic connection or mind call of which the highest lion priesthood are capable. It goes beyond simple communication to entering the minds of wild animals, which then act as their command. This was an astonishing story, yet it harmonized with my own experience and with other documented material I had begun to uncover. I would have reason to recall Vanderpoel's description of the tiger's face becoming filled with light when I uncovered the phenomenon of the great cats as symbols of enlightenment bearers across the globe. Virtually all the world's spiritually evolved leaders, both Eastern and Western, have been endowed with leonine identities. In all world cultures, there are 3 references to the enlightened ones or the shining ones. Luminous leonine figures, bringing the civilizing principles of love, light, and truth to humanity, whom Murwa calls the, I'm trying to pronounce this now, Abwangufa Bakubede. I tried. Our Christian saints, such as Saint Jerome with his companionable lion, and Saint Mark, whose famous winged lion peers down on humanity from on high in Venice's Saint Mark's Square, are transcendent figures whose enlightened message is directly associated with lions. The Gospel of St. Mark beneath the paw of St. Mark's winged lions is a symbol of culture and learning, offering humankind principles of law and civilization. Similarly, the Sphinx of ancient Egypt is said to guard a secret store of knowledge, known as the Hall of Records, just as the emblem of the Gryphon, winged lion of heraldry, is the mythical animal that guards sacred knowledge. While Christ was the Lion of Judah, King of Kings, Krishna was a lion among wild animals. Muhammad's son-in-law, Ali, beloved of the Shiites, was Lion of Allah, and Buddha was the Lion of the Shakyas. Buddha is said to have had a pet lion endowed with miraculous powers. Upon the Prophet's death, he is described as lying down in the manner of a lion. Vishnu takes on the Lion Man incarnation in the form of the avatar Nara Simha, and in his leonine form brings qualities of enlightenment and courage to the ignorant. The thoughts of felines showing qualities of magnanimity and protection, even enlightenment, was curiously uplifting. Respectful communication in this case, prayer, proud the key to preservation. According to Vanderpoel, the feline priest was protected from the jaws of death, not by contrived armor in the manner of the feline hero, but through mutual respect which provided spiritual ornament. While such an approach to predators was absolutely beyond my personal understanding at the time of my own brush with death, contact with lion shamans, such as Maria, gradually introduced me to a different way of seeing, which would ultimately become second nature.